Hey, it's Tuesday night again. How's it all going, guys? Here we are live again. Kev himself couldn't be here, so I kind of put the shirt on. Man, because I left him at the workshop and forgot about him. But yeah, these things happen. Yeah. So, what's new out there in automotive land? What's been going on? Who have we got in the room already? 6th Street Garage, welcome along. Chris Freemesser, welcome along. What is going on? A quiet start tonight. We only got 3 of you in the room. All right. So, time for a bourbon. So yeah, tell me what's been going on, guys. Who's done anything? Any revelations? What's going on? Nothing that exciting at the shop, I must be honest. We've kind of just been gathering up loose ends, that kind of thing. Andy Nichols popped in. Hey, welcome along, bud. Yeah, just kind of tidying up loose ends. Got my drive shaft away for the truck. I should be getting that back tomorrow or Thursday with a bit of luck. Old timer, welcome along. Dave, someone tell me why I shouldn't buy a Miata. Well, they're good little cars, man. I mean, they're a long way for an American hot rod, but great little cars. Yeah, great little cars, great handling little cars, a lot of fun. I can't think of a reason why you shouldn't buy one. Chris Freemesser, absolutely nothing good or interesting to add. Oh, wait. Oh well, that's not typical, but okay, it is what it is. Paul Funk, welcome along. Jeff Hutchins, hey man. Todd Denayo. Who else we got? Beagle Bob, Casey Mack, welcome along. And Dave, thinking 2000 to 2002. Well, that's the NB, I think it is, model number or something like that they call them. Yeah, depending, that's got the little bit better engine in them and stuff like that. So yeah, good little cars. Barry Cooter for hairdressers. Hey, they are actually the most raced car on any given weekend, on any weekend of the year. There's more of them out there racing than any other model of car. And I don't mean brand, I mean like model. But yeah, the MX-5, there's a lot of MX-5 or Miata, because the MX-5's in most other countries, Miata's here. Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of them getting raced. They're popular cars. Dave, I'm older than Kiwi. Well, that's old. I'm older than Kiwi. I don't need fast. Yeah, well, I mean, if you get the little twin cam, the 16 valve, they're pretty decent performers. LVG, here we go. Hi, Kiwi, LVG in the house. Here we are. Very cool. Old timer, Miata takes an old school 5.0, easy peasy, stock hood and all. Yeah, they do. They do. Well, that's the plan, or that plan maybe kind of stumbling a little bit. Where the plan was to, was to put the Miata frame underneath the little Sunbeam Alpine. But I spent a couple of hours today, like measuring stuff. It's there's some of the numbers are not kind of playing well, like it's not quite adding up. There's both little open top sports cars, but some real differences in there's only 3.2, I think 3.2 or 3.7 inches difference in length of the wheelbase, and only about 3 about the same in overall. but where stuff is placed within those measurements is really quite different. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of head scratching to do to make it work. So yeah, I'm not as confident as I was that the Miata is going to work. Chris Freemerson, nothing wrong with a Miata. No, not really, mate. Not really. Old timer, Woodford Reserve Rye again tonight. Best value out there. Nice drop, mate. It's a nice drop. I'm doing my Applejack again. Dave, I'd go with the turbo. Yeah, well, yep, the little turbo ones are they're good. They're quick. I mean, not fucking missile quick, but pretty lively. Kerosene and cucumbers. Hey, welcome along, man. Dave, prices in Connecticut are crazy. Okay. Yeah, they're not too bad down here. That's depending what kind of condition you're looking for. Drive over misfits. Any 2000-ish here in the northwest is going to have rust issues. Maybe look down south or out west. The one I got, it had a little engine bay fire, so it was. Trying to remember, I think I paid $800 for it, and had a little, so it lost a bit of wiring and stuff like that. But that was a pretty cheap car. And there's always there's several guys around in this area. They just buy any they can get their hands on them and part them out. They're doing their own little private dismantling / wrecking yard with them, and part because there's so many getting raced. There's a lot getting dinged up, and parts are a hot ticket. Old timer, the math ain't mathing on the Amore. Yeah, yes, that's right. No, it's not really. Gonna have to. Yeah, I kind of had to walk away today. It was doing my head in a bit, and I had other things I really needed to be doing. Dave, any known problems with the auto transmission? Wife can't drive a manual. That I don't know. I don't have an answer for you at all. I have no clue whether they're good or bad. I don't know. No idea. I haven't heard anything bad about them, and you usually hear the bad news first, But a lot of them are manual. Well, I'm not sure about the American market, but I think the majority of Miata MX-5s are manual. But yeah. Stephen Bakey-Bird, how are you doing? I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. Got my icy bourbon, so I'm a happy camper. Old timer, it's a good thing I'm in poor as dirt, because I would buy every old shitbox on Facebook across the entire country and Canada too. Yeah, I lose a lot of time on that Facebook marketplace looking at cars, and just have to keep telling myself no, because I would have a hellacious collection. And no way in the world of actually ever being able to get them done. PZRX43. Yeah. What has been the most difficult restoration job for you so far? It's trying to think actually. What would nothing? Honestly, nothing really stands out as being wildly more difficult than the others. I mean, some have certainly been rustier than others, which ramps up the difficulty factor. I'm trying to think. Did a 53 Lincoln. That was a fairly difficult car, mainly because of parts. Parts supply was tough, so we had to do a lot of repair work on all the trim, the stainless steel and stuff like that. And just with the parts being so hard to get, and it being an oddball size Y block, I think it was a 317 Y block. That was probably one of the more difficult and probably something like that. Swiss cheese Mustang was probably one of the harder ones that we've had to replace so much on that. Then we have another video coming out on that soon. I've been working away on it kind of off camera, and we've got one side, the quarter on and the new rockers and all that stuff on. So I'm going to do a video on doing the rockers and quarter on the other side, and then then we'll be getting into rear suspension and stuff like that. But then that Swiss cheese Mustang, because we clipped the whole front off it, including the cowl, the firewall, everything. Another one that was hard was 73, 72 Challenger that I did. That was very rusty, and that was a lot of inner fenders gone, front frame rails gone, like removed from the car, new firewall, stuff like that. And that does require a lot of attention to the tape measure, to make sure you get it back together right. So there you go. That's the answer to that. Andy Nickel, just received my Cletus RC helicopter. Now I have to figure out how to fly it. Another diversion to take away from fixing the hole in my bumper cover. RC helicopters are hard to fly, I've heard. Quite difficult. Mind you, probably will. They've probably come a long way since I ever saw one. So I know, like, the drones almost fly themselves now, but that's different again to a helicopter. So. Chris Freeman is a bumper sticker that looks like a Band-Aid hole in the bumper cover. Fixed in a jiffy. I've seen those. That's quite clever. Yeah. Paul Funk, if Miata has an ASIN transmission, it's probably okay. If it's a Jatco, you might have some problems. Okay. There you go. You learn something every day. ASIN transmission, they obviously make a lot of transmissions, because that's the transmission I had in my Cummins powered Dodge. That was obviously a big transmission. Probably weighed as much as the Miata, the whole Miata. Wow. PZ, I'm going to call you PZ43 because there's too many letters. Which car has been the most rewarding job you've ever had? God, that's a tough one. Honestly, probably that Challenger. It was, unfortunately, it was before I was doing YouTube, because that would have been a great one for YouTube. But that was kind of pretty cool, because it was the guy's dad's car, and he kind of grew up knowing the car. Like, it had been in the family a long, long time, and it was very rusty, and we kind of got it going again. And it won a lot of prizes, and it won a lot of. It was triple green, so it was metallic green with a green vinyl roof and a green vinyl interior, which doesn't sound it doesn't sound great, does it? But the finished product, and he had the 17-inch version of the original steel wheels that they had, and the car looked great. It looked really, really good, and it won a bunch of People's Choice, and they took it to the Mopar Nationals, which is a big event. Because he had the 17-inch wheels on it, he had to go in the modified class, against big superchargers hanging out the hood car, like some pretty wild cars, like well modified, and won at the Mopar Nationals. So that car just had something about it. It looked really good, and everybody just loved it. And yet it was an unlikely color combo, but you never can tell. Dave, it's settled. I'm heading south to buy a 5-speed Miata. The hell with the wife. Wish me luck. Well, with that attitude, yeah, you'll need some luck, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't. Hopefully, she doesn't watch the live as well. Driveway of Misfits restoring his reputation after Kev's most recent criminal entanglements. Right? Yeah, I mean, we're in a. See, you guys need some Super Kev shirts. You know where to get them. Barry Cooter, wouldn't just a fully original Tiger Spec replica be okay? No, shut up the page again. I'm getting behind already tonight. Barry Cooter, yeah, mate. Yeah, a fully original Tiger Spec replica be okay. Yeah, it would be okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just me. I want to go further, you know. I just want it to handle a bit better than the Tigers did. The Tigers weren't a great handling car, especially the early ones, like the series. I think Series 3 was the first of them, and they just weren't a great handling car. Possibly one of the reasons they didn't take off like the Cobra. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I just want to and make it unique. I mean, that's my thing. I want it to be custom. I want it to be unique and turn some heads. And yeah, so just going back to, or even a replica of stock is. I can appreciate that. I can, but yeah, I always want to do a little bit more. Andy Nickel, unfortunately, the hole is the size of the goose that you hit. Yeah, that's going to leave a big hole. Old timer, I bet the Sunbeam Miata marriage would be among the most challenging work you have done. Yeah, it is because I haven't done it before, like this body swapping thing, which is definitely all the rage at the moment. People are doing some bizarre body swaps. So yeah, I think it will be a challenge, especially after what my couple of hours today measuring and messing about is like, yeesh. Not sure it's quite that it's going to work, but if the Miata's not going to work, we'll just pivot and do something different. Maybe a little more custom chassis. So time will tell. Oh, jeez, Chris Freemasson. A hole as big as a goose. You should have Kiwi take a gander at it. Oh, very funny. Very funny. That's pretty clever. I'll give you that one. We'll give you an 8 out of 10 for that one. That's pretty good. Old timer, I want an actual mini helicopter, the Mosquito jet turbine, no pilot's license required. An actual helicopter. Oh. Those things have a habit of falling out of the sky, man. Did you ever notice that? Yeah. No, they don't glide very well. Like a small single engine plane, if you drop the engine, they'll glide in. But helicopters, not so much. Aisin is part of Toyota. I didn't know that. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, but no, they're still. If you go specking up a diesel Ram truck, you have the option of an Aisin, if I'm saying it right, Aisin transmission. So yeah, interesting. Stephen Bunkybird, please tell about the Ford truck bed you are getting. Is it assembled or do you need to weld it together? It's welded together. Actually, it just came up on my feed that AMD have just released the video of that, of me and Kevin putting it together. Part of getting that deal of getting a free bed was helping Kevin put it together and making the video of it. So go and check out Auto Metal Direct, and they've just released like 20 minutes before we went live. The video, it's about an hour and 20 minutes of me and Kevin putting that bed together. And we used a spot welder, and that worked really well. Driveway of Mitzvahs, the KSV 9000, not the most rewarding car you've done. I didn't even think about that. Wow, that's interesting. That didn't even cross my mind. You're right. I don't know why that didn't come to mind. That's bizarre. That's the car that certainly has, the most custom work that I've ever done on any car, and yet it looks still very much like it's not a wild custom. It's not like that's a Mustang with a 66 Chevy back end on it. Like it's not crazy custom, but it's every panel is touched and touched a reasonable amount, but it's still very much a 66 Mustang. So yeah, Mr. Freemason, I'm going to revise my statement and say, the most rewarding really is that Mustang, and it did kind of put me on the map, shall we say, here in the States. Getting it in SEMA, getting a lot of getting noticed, getting a lot of publicity on it, magazine coverage and stuff like that, and it kind of launched me here locally. Like that's when people really started to come in. People that got known that car pretty quickly, and so you're absolutely right, sir. You know more about me than I do. How about that? PR43, I'm from Finland. Hey, Kiwi, if you could choose any dream car for your next project, which car would it be? A European or an American classic or something else? Okay. Finland's on my... Awesome to have you here, man. Finland is a place I want desperately to visit. On my bucket list of things I'm going to do before I kick off from this place is to go and see the Thousand Lakes Rally. That is, one of the most famous ever rallies, the Thousand Lakes. So I want to go and see that and come to Finland. Probably if I could choose any dream car for my next project, probably would it be? It would probably be European, honestly. I've done a lot of American stuff, and it would be kind of fun to do something a little different. And it would probably be something like either an E-Type Jag or an earlier Mercedes, like a two-door sports. I'm not set on a particular model. I mean, those gull wings are amazing, but I mean, that's just, any dream car, it would be, a gull wing, probably a gull wing Mercedes. I think they're just absolutely gorgeous. Wouldn't have to be a gull wing, but that kind of body shape. I don't know that I'd want to customize a gull wing. They're just, unless you want, they are making fiberglass replicas, but me and fiberglass aren't good friends. So, I would, you like to get something of that era in the Mercedes, make it really low, very, a little bit race car styling, bigger fender flares, big wheels, wide, low profile kind of wheels, and some sort of late model AMG, high horsepower, one of those AMG blacks or something like that. If you could get the engine out of one of those things and put that into an early Merc, that would be pretty cool. Jeff Hutchins, of course you have to have a rotor, but unless you're in combat, they really have issues. Oh, okay. Andy Nicol, helicopters will glide as long as the blades are freewheeling. One exercise they do for the license is to land without power. Really? You got to land without power to get your license on. Wow. Driveway of Misfits. I wouldn't mind an older Alfa Romeo once in my life. Some of those were gorgeous, weren't they? Some of that European styling was, it was. I mean, a lot of that early American stuff was absolutely, that late 50s kind of American stuff was absolutely gorgeous. But the Europeans had a different take on it. They had their very own gorgeous, and it was different from the American stuff. And I really do appreciate them both. I love the American muscle, the American V8 and stuff like that. But that into some of those gorgeous European styling, makes for an awesome kind of marriage of parts, I think. Stray bullet, a rotor and a tail helicopter scare the hell out of me. There are too many moving parts. Yeah, I've been up in a couple of helicopters and hadn't really thought about it. I didn't feel scared or anything like that. But there's a few helicopter crashes, and not all that often that people walk away from them. Vilefly finally got a chance to watch the movie The World's Fastest Indian. It was exceptionally good. Yes, it was. I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. That is a really, really good movie. Something I should watch again because I haven't watched it for. When did it come out? It's got to be probably 15 years since I watched it. So it's probably well worth a rewatch, I would say. PZ43, could you tell us how you found the repair shop industry? Was it your first profession? How long have you worked in repair shops? Are there any family members or other relatives? No, not other family members or relatives. My grandfather and my father were car guys, but on a much, they loved cars, but they didn't, they tinkered, shall we say? Maybe, heavy tinkering, but not professional at it. I've been kind of working on bodyworking cars for since my teens. So did a few jobs out of school and kind of ended up doing that. Not ever an official apprenticeship or anything like that, but just picked it up. Had a good friend of mine who was an exceptional panel beater. I worked with him for quite a long time and learned a heck of a lot from him. The rest is history. Stray bullet, without power, a helicopter is basically just a gyrocopter. Yeah, as long as you've got enough forward momentum, I believe, because they do fly, I guess, like a plane to a degree, but that's with the rotors moving forward, on their forward swipe of their turn. They will glide, but not like a little Cessna, not like a little Cessna. Jeff Hutchins, I'd actually rather have the Gullwing era Mercedes 190 convertible with the removable hardtop too over the Gullwing. I do kind of admire those cars, but I don't know the numbers and the model numbers and the details. I haven't given that much time to just which ones they are. I just see them pop up, on the internet and think, that's absolutely gorgeous. But those and those and the E-Type Jags. The E-Type Jag is just a classic body shape, an absolutely classic. That was that had to be the best Jaguar ever made. Wicked Photography. Hi, mate, from Perth, originally New Zealand. Ruakaka. I know where Ruakaka is. Bought my first classic a year ago after watching your vids. Wow, that's awesome. Bought a 63 AMC Rambler Classic. AMI build? AMC build. I think I picked the hardest one to start with. Certainly hard for parts, mate. Certainly hard for parts, which does make a difference. But yeah, I mean, how are you getting on with it? Is it like coming together? Is it like a rust bucket that you're trying to patch up, or like what's the deal with that car? Barracuda, I know one of them that dropped like a rock when the blades wouldn't turn. Yeah, well, I mean, gravity rules all. Gravity rules all, man. Dr. Art's Hot Rod Rehab. Welcome to the room, Mr. Dr. Art. You got a diesel? I don't do diesels, mate. What are you doing with a diesel? Man, I drove a diesel for a long time. I never worked on it. What diesel nonsense are you up to, Dr. Art? Are you putting, probably knowing you're probably sticking a bunch of turbos and stuff like that on it. Volfly gyrocopters only have a powered tail fan. The big blades spin on their own and behave like a wing. You can pull a bird-like landing maneuver with it by stalling it just before touching the ground. I think that's what they do with helicopters in an emergency landing, isn't it? Kind of like that sort of maneuver. PZ43. Yeah, who would you consider was a mentor who guided you in those early days? That was a good friend of mine called John Watts. And someone asked me this question in the comments on one of my videos just recently. It could have been you, I'm not sure. But yeah, a gentleman called John Watts. We were good friends, and haven't seen him for a long time. But obviously, living here now. But yeah, great guy, bit of a wild man, like to party. But yeah, and we both rallied together for many years and were very competitive with each other. He'd win some days and I'd win some days, and some days we'd both crash. So, we had a lot of fun, and we straightened out a lot of very bent cars, when we were rallying. And yeah, it's kind of a lifetime ago now, but it was a good time. And yeah, when you've got a week to get ready for the next event and the car's been upside down or, into a tree or something like that, you learn how to get shit done quickly. Not always the best way, or the most technically correct way, but, you got them together and got them going. Yeah, so that's who it was, John Watts. Don't know whether he ever drops in and watches, but because I've kind of lost contact with him, so which is a bit of a shame. Paul Funk, hit the like button, everyone. Yeah, that'd be cool if you would. I'd appreciate it, guys. Stray bullet. Yes, the tail is pretty important in most aircraft, except flying saucers. Oh, good. Is that our new off-topic topic? Flying saucers? Old timer, people are born to be who they end up being. A Hell's Angel was never meant to be an accountant. Well, there's some wisdom there. Volfly wants a flying saucer. Well, what do we got here? Jeff Hutchins, Dr. Art, I'll take the diesel, don't even care what it is. Yeah, I don't know what the gyrocopter tail rotor rules are on that. I'm not sure. PZ43, Ford or Falcon? Best New Zealand Ford or Falcon? It would have to be the Falcon. Ford in New Zealand had quite a few, was mostly British. British Fords, so the Cortinas, Escorts, that kind of thing. And then later on, like Ford Lasers and stuff, which were really just a Mazda rebadged. But the Falcon, I would have to say, was the best, especially for the New Zealand market. It was, it was a great car, and they evolved it from a very simplistic, early '60s Falcon to a pretty trick car. At the end, before they finally pulled the pin on them, they were pretty sophisticated car. And it's part of why Australia is so proud of the Fords and the Commodores, the Holdens. The Holden was an awesome car. So don't ask me to pick which one of those two was the best, because I don't have a best one out of those two, but probably the if they could have been brought to market in a few more countries, a little bit more internationally, they would have been hugely popular. But there was just a lot of other cars competing with them as well. But for that domestic market, they were superb. Andy Nicol, I'd love to have a gyrocopter, but I'm missing two things: health and money. Well, there you go. Old timer PZ43 is asking those hard-hitting TMZ type questions. That's all right, guys. I'm happy with that. If you guys are interested and want answers to questions like that, I'm all about it. So, but yeah, I'm interested that he's from Finland. So that's cool. Obviously fluent in English. PZ, are you Finnish born and raised, or are you an English speaking import, or like what's your story, sir? Right, Dave, the helicopter I rode to the bottom of the Grand Canyon needed a jump from a jump box to start. Sketchy, but we made it. Ew. That's crazy. Let's see. Here we go. I found that. Right. I found where I was. I lost my place again. Wicked Photography. AMI equals Aussie Assembly from a knockdown kit from AMZ. Okay, I get it. Car now registered after being off the road since '92. All original with AMC 327. Just in the process of adding a factory 4-barrel manifold and Edelbrock carburetor. Very cool. And you were able to track down a factory 4-barrel, or was that something you had to shop for in the States? Gyros are tasty when they're a Greek sandwich. Yes, I think they're called heroes, aren't they? In that situation, but I'm sure you're probably well aware of that. Stray Bullet, the tail rotor is powered by the main rotor on both helicopter and gyrocopter. There you go. Okay, you'll have to argue amongst yourselves on that one, because I don't know. Laurel Flynn, hey, welcome to the room. Welcome along. Had a helicopter pilot showing off with my son in it years back. I was very relieved when he climbed out. The chopper then took off, threw a rod, and went plop in the paddock. Really? Wow. That's a bit scary. Barry Cooter, Tim Wallace in New Zealand broke his back in a helicopter crash, lost both of his sons to them. Wow. The last crash was caused by overalls getting sucked out and got caught in the tail rotor. Oh, wow. Two rally friends of mine got killed in a helicopter crash many years ago too. Two very, very competent drivers, a guy called Chris Barnes and Kim Austin, both very quick peddlers, we called them, quick drivers. The two of them were on their way somewhere. Chris Barnes was, he had his own helicopter. He was a man of means.
He had his own. It's a small helicopter, but even small helicopters are expensive in New Zealand. Something went wrong, and they went down, and that was that. That was the end of it. I don't. I don't know the result of any inquiry that went into just what happened, but because what mattered was they were gone. But that was very sad, and quite a loss to the rallying community. It was too. Wicked photography. Parts are pretty hard to find in Oz, and then shipping from the US is a killer. Yeah, but we've gotten good substitutes from Valiant, Holden, etc. Oh, really? Huh. Okay, well, that's cool. Volfly. Wiki says the big rotor is unpowered, very specifically. Is it, just to chime in on that argument, yes, a gyrocopter, the big rotor is unpowered. I think possibly Volfly, what they're saying is that while it's not, the main rotor is not powered by an engine, it's powered by the wind, but that wind effect that it has on the big rotor runs the tail rotor. Is that what they're meaning? I'm not really sure. But yeah, so the big rotor may be like powered by the wind effectively, I guess, which then drives the tail rotor. That's possibly what they mean, but don't know, because otherwise you'd need a separate little motor or something to operate to run the tail rotor, I guess. So, I'm really out of my depth. Don't know. Driveway of misfits. Lots of AMC used parts from GM, Ford, Chrysler makes finding some things reasonably easy. Oh, okay. So they would AMC like parts shopped around and used bits from here, there, and everywhere to put them together, which is not unusual. No, not at all. Barracuda 67 XR Falcon, great looking. Yeah, they were. I think one would look awesome in a two-door hardtop. That 67-8 sort of 9 Falcon would have been awesome in a two-door hardtop. I wish they'd made them, but they never did. And I remember, the XD Falcon, which I think was 80s. Somebody was doing conversions on those in Aussies and converting them to a two-door. I think it was a two-door post, but they were getting side glass because it's curved side glass. They were getting curved side glass made, stretching out the doors and making a two-door Falcon. I never remember reading about they were doing it. I never actually saw any photos. I don't know whether it ever got done or not, but I do remember reading about it. But yeah, decades ago. Andy Nickel, gyros don't have a tail rotor just to stabilize the tail. The power comes from a big rear propeller. Okay. Granddad's Junk. Hey, welcome along, man. Good to see you. Or have you here, I should say. Can't really see you, but you know what I mean. How's it going? It's going good. Laurel Flynn, over 69 XT. Nice. Very cool. Paul Funk, didn't the Australian Falcon come with the 302 Cleveland? Some of them did, yes. Yep, that was the thing. Some of them came with the Windsor as well, the earlier Falcons. And then, Australia, put their stamp on it, kind of making their own Cleveland engines. They had a 302 and the 351 Cleveland. I don't know whether anywhere else got the 302 Cleveland. But, yeah. Oop. Hang on. Where are we going? Hang on, I lost my place. Sorry, guys. Hang on. There we go. Dave, 26 WRC Rally Finland, July 29th to August 3rd. Looks like tours are 1,200 a head euros, or is it pounds? Probably euros. I'm going to do it. I don't know it'll be next year, but I'm going to do it for sure. So 20 August next year, this time next year, it would be cool. Don't know. It'd be nice, but yeah, I just don't think next year. PZ43, have you come across a Mercedes-Benz or an Italian classic in the workshop? Maybe even a Porsche. Haven't worked on any Porsches. Worked on a couple of Mercedes, Volvo, that kind of thing. Not a lot. Porsche has never really floated my boat. Never really. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the Porsches. Again, another classic design. But it's just not. It just doesn't hit a chord with me. The Porsche, couldn't really tell you why. I mean, some of the late model ones are pretty cool looking, but I haven't. Yeah, some of the really early ones would be kind of cool to own. But yeah, I'd rather have an early Mercedes coupe of some kind. I don't know. The whole rear engine thing is just it's not really me. Not to be ragging on them because they're great cars. That like their success is proven beyond anybody's argument. But it's just not me. Old timer, I'm headed to bed. I'm old and tired, and my joints all hurt, and I need my beauty sleep because being as handsome is hard work. Mate, tell me about it. I know what you mean. Best to all, thanks you. Well, thanks for joining us, man. That's awesome. Always good to have you here. Granddad's Junk, very nice sunny day. Big day today. I'm going to cut down a large remo for Kiwi's timber for the Sunbeam Dash, so I can do a start to finish product. Very cool. Wow, you're going to cut down a tree specially for that? Awesome. Wow. I need to get you some dimensions, don't I? Okay, which I will do. I promise I will do. I mean, I'm messing with that thing, here and there most days now, so I just need to. I've been measuring everything else except the dash, how to make a Miata frame fit, and I'm struggling with that one a little, I'll be honest. So that's been kind of taking the majority of my brain cells, so I've not thought to measure up the dash. But I will be doing that. Right. Chris Freeman has seen some of that remove my way. Yeah. Poor fuck. Does the main rotor spin the opposite direction if it's an Australian helicopter? Absolutely it does, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Don't believe everything a Kiwi tells you, mate. Stray bullet, it's a mechanically unpowered Volfly. The main rotor is on a gyrocopter, is powered by the blades moving through the wind. The engine powers the propeller. Yeah. The engine powers a propeller which pushes the machine through the air. Huh. Okay. Wicked photography. Factory AMC 4-barrel found in the US. Nothing here and even rare now in the States. Cost twice as much to ship as it did to buy, but should look good when done. Just off getting powder coated. Oh, cool. Yeah, well,
You got to pay to play, don't you? Like, yeah, you just do. If you want a really cheap intake, put a small block Chev in it or a small block Ford, then intakes are a couple $100. But you've got a 327 AMC engine, which is what it needs to have. So, yeah. Barfly, we agree then. Stray Bullet had me going there for a while. Oh, I'm glad we figured out what's going on there with the old gyrocopter. Granddad's Junk Heart Remo is the nicest grain and colour. Yeah, it is. It is. Mate, that's going to be a real feature of that car. I'm kind of looking forward to that. What I did find out the other day was that only the Tigers actually had the wood grain dash. Well, not even wood grain; they were solid wood. So that's. I was kind of quite pleased about that because I wanted that wood grain look, and I didn't realise at the time that that was a Tiger feature. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that. I'm not sure what they used. I'm sure it wasn't Remu. But being a Kiwi car, having Remo in there is awesome. Chris Freemasson, true story. Used to work with a guy who was in the army, stationed in Korea, operated radio equipment, discovered that if he turned on his equipment, it would screw up the radio-controlled tail rotors on Black Hawk helicopter. Wow, that's a bit spooky. Stray Bullet, that's exactly how it works, Kiwi. I thought I had it. See, I'm not quite as dumb as people say. I had a little bit of an idea, but I just didn't want to run my mouth, when I wasn't sure. Barracuda, could Greek food be our off-topic subject? Absolutely. I like Greek food. Mopar Man 78, welcome along. Vilefly, I wonder if the controls for a gyrocopter are the same. One needs to be able to control the pitch of the big rotor for takeoff and landing. Aha, you got me there. No clue. Jeez. Chris Freemasson, he said he'd wait until a Black Hawk flew by. Then they flip their equipment on and off a few times to mess with him. Yeah, that'd spike the heart rate, wouldn't it? In the Black Hawk, jeez. Beagle Bob, I don't believe a word of radio-controlled flight controls. Well, I mean, your throttle, most modern cars now are radio. Oh, not really radio control, are they? Because they're hardwired in, but they're electronically controlled throttles. So, I don't know. It seems a little easy to disrupt, especially on a combat, vehicle or aircraft. Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Vilefly, I like Greek foods. Laurel Flynn. Kim Austin lived down the road. I remember the first day he raced at Karapahi. I remember Karapahi. His dad was laughing, waiting for the car to break because he broke everything else he had made. It was a V6 Escort. Kim was a wild man. He had a heart of gold. He was a nice guy, like simple guy. But yeah, really good-hearted guy and lovely wife and kids. And it was just a real tragedy. Two good guys. And but Kim could drive. He was fast, super fast. Absolutely fearless. Yep. They say only the good die young. So there you go. That's what we're all doing still here, you see. Vilefly, but I hate Ouza. Ugh. Yeah, I hate Ouza. Oh, no. Terrible. Black licorice tasting powerful alcoholic drink. No. I can't do licorice at all. Yeah, terrible stuff. My wife quite likes it, and she'll eat it, and it'll be like, "Well, you can stay away because I don't care what's on offer. You're not coming near me." It smells, like after eating licorice, like ugh, yuck. Yeah, yeah. Shove the page again. Damn it! I could catch up. I ramble on too much. Where are we? Wow, I was a fair way behind. Whoops. Here we go. Andy Nichols, spray bullet is pretty much correct. The blades act like a wing when freewheeling from the forward motion, which is why they need to have a short runway to take off. Yep. Jeff Hutchins, Larry Vickers was a pretty famous Delta Force member. He was in 3 helicopter crashes. Wow. Most people had none. His teammates joked about not flying in any bird he was on. 3, well, it's an interesting record. 3 helicopter crashes. Wow. I often hear that every handyman in every garage sometimes makes his own do-it-yourself tools. Have you ever made any of those? Oh, yeah, many times. Necessity is the what's that expression? That saying? Necessity is the something of or invention or something, the master of invention or something like that. Yeah, I've had to make tools. Often. That's a thing, and it's certainly it's a Kiwi thing because, in my younger days, was well before the internet. You couldn't just get online and order something, especially being in New Zealand so far from anywhere. So Kiwis are notorious for making their own stuff, making it work with what they've got, and there's many jokes about number 8 wire, which is fencing wire. What a Kiwi and Aussie couldn't do with number 8 wire kind of really wasn't worth worrying about. Firefly, we've all made tools. I lost count. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Barracuda, I think Ford Australia did 1 2-door XT Falcon. Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. Granddad's junk. Kiwi brother, are you leaving Marge auto or going manual? No, auto. Where it's at the automatics at the rebuilders now. We're going back with the 3-speed torque flight. Yeah, it's keeping it the push button auto. It's for me, it's not the right car to have a manual in. I've got my Mustang, which is 6-speed manual, and Marge is a cruiser. I know I'm hot rodding up the motor, but it's really, it's not to make it a go fast car. It's to make her a go competently car, something that can have other modern cars of today. So not beat other. I'm not trying to build it to beat a Hellcat or anything like that. So I just want it to be able to have a decent amount of pull left when you're doing 70 mile an hour on the interstate, and to be able to like scoot along down the road, accelerating from 20 to 40, that kind of lower speed area, but to be able to actually scoot when you want it to, and not scoot real fast, but just be competent. Barracuda. When I was in Australia, I loved the Greeks, souvlakis. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that is. Todd Denio, wouldn't a 302 Cleveland just be a Boss 302? No, not. It was a Windsor block, which is a little bit smaller, with the Cleveland style heads on. So it was close. I'll give you that. but it's not exactly. And the 302 Boss heads were big ports. They were, those heads on the 302 Boss were made for racing. They were a Ford-built race car. So, but yeah, the 302 Cleveland would be as close as you're going to get to a 302 Boss without it being a 302 Boss. Laurel Flynn, the Australian Cleveland block is a sought-after motor. Apparently it has high nickel content. Okay. Like some of the Mexican Ford blocks have high nickel in them, apparently. So, Fall fly. I think dinner is going to be something prefabricated and frozen. I don't feel like cooking tonight. Oh, well. That's all right. We'll give you a night off, but that'll give you more time to hang out with us if you just do a quick frozen one. So it's all good. Grenadiers Junk. Hello, Todd. Went the Boss 302 have Cleveland heads on a Windsor block? Yeah, I mean, you can do that conversion. It's not that uncommon. People have put Cleveland heads on Windsor blocks, and Edelbrock actually made a kit with the heads and a purpose cast intake manifold that worked like the factory one did. The people that do it, using bits and pieces, apparently there was water channels you had to block off and do something else to make water flow in the right places through the intake manifold. I'm not really sure what it was. But people were doing it like modifying intake manifolds and stuff like that, and then Edelbrock came out with a just a bolt straight on. Barracuda over Porsche 917. Oh, cool! Nice. There's me after me ragging. I wasn't ragging. I don't think I was ragging on Porsches, but yeah. And each to their own. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings there, bud, because Porsches are cool. I just like the Mercs. Some people like Holden, some people like Ford or Mopar. Driveway of misfits. Just get a Porsche 914. It's a tarted up VW. I had a friend of mine years ago. He had an early-ish, I guess it was an early 70s Porsche, something, and I always referred to it as his Volkswagen Fastback. And it would get him going every time. It's not a damn. And he would bite like a fish. Jeff Hutchins, I'm not a Porsche fan either. I really don't like the early ones. The later ones are just too expensive for everything. Buying, maintaining, insuring, everything is dollars. Yeah, it is. A friend of mine, we were watching the rugby a week and a half ago, and he has a very late model GT3, I think it is, which he liked, past tense, doing track days in it, till he stuck it in the wall. He made a little mistake on a high-speed turn, got into the grass, and then the rest was history. Stuck it into the wall. And the initial estimate, because no insurance, because it was a track day, initial estimate, and which is going to be well light, I would say, probably 20 grand light, is 60 grand. So I think it's probably going to hit 80 by the time he's done, with paint and a headlight for it, because he cracked a headlight. A headlight for it is $9,500. True story, supposedly. $9,500 for a headlight. It's like, oh, wow. PZ43, if you could choose the best engine and gearbox, what would the best configuration that you could say will last a lifetime? Ooh. Well, motor, you probably have to go with the LS, like LS3, 4, not the latest LSs. They've gotten a little bit issues with the valve train. But back when LSs were a little simpler, very, very good engine. And just go and go and go and go. Like 200,000 miles is nothing to them. So, yeah, that would be the engine. Transmission, just a Tremec, T56 6-speed or the TKX. Very, very strong transmissions. Nothing really weak in them. Nothing really fails. The old T5s had some issues, but we're going back 30 years to a T5. So, yeah, the later model Tremecs are very good transmissions. So behind an LS, push rod, none of this, MDL stuff, multiple displacement systems. The ones, the LSs that don't have that, very, very reliable, go forever engines. That would be my vote. What about the worst factory or production configuration? The worst. Okay, that's a tough one because there's a lot of horror stories out there. But my early work days was a lot of around a lot of BMC, like Austin Morris, and they had some absolutely terrible engines and terrible transmissions. The old Morris Marinas, they had an overhead cam engine in them, like a 1750cc, I think it was. Morris Marina engine, absolute horror story. Transmissions as fragile as an egg. Yeah, they made some of the worst shit. Austin Allegros, little front wheel drive horror story. Yeah, they made some real lemons, some serious lemons. So that would come under my worst one, but and shit like that had some pretty nasty stuff going on as well. Stray bullet, nope. The unpowered Fokker Angel helicopter didn't have a tail rotor either. Unpowered Fokker Angel, wow! I didn't even know that was a thing. Laurel Flynn, stray bullet knows this stuff. That's why when the motor stops, it's all over Rover. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, PZ43, Cummins 6BT 12 valve with manual transmission. But you're probably asking about cars. It'd be hard to argue against a pre-DOD LS Chevy for a gasser. Yeah. Yep. That's my thoughts too, Jeff. Yeah, and I'm a Ford guy, but I mean, just the Ford, comparing the LS to the 4.6 Fords, that's like, that's, it doesn't matter how blue-blooded you are, you're not going to win that argument with a 4.6 Ford. Like, come on. The Coyote's better, but too big, too bulky, and too little. 5 litres. That's it. They should have had a 6-litre version available, but I don't know what they were not thinking at that point. But hey, so yeah, early LS. Granddad's junk. I need some timber to finish sheds over. Nice tidy tree to drop. Should get 4 5 meter log from it. Nice. That's a big tree. Awesome. You going to put that on your channel, like dropping that tree? Is that going to be a video? Hang on, lost my place again. Wow, I'm way behind. There we go. Found my spot. How about Glenn, hey mate, how's it going? G'day from sunny coast Queensland. Very nice. It's lovely there. Christopher C. Ever use a constant pressure valve body on an auto transmission? No, I have not. I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what that is. I know what a valve body is, but I'm not sure what you mean by constant pressure. Automatic transmissions, I ship off to the automatic transmission gurus and say, call me when it's ready. And I get on with something I know how to do. So, yeah. So, me and automatics are, Manual transmission, done a lot of them from my rallying days, but you didn't get many automatic rally cars, and we had to figure out our own manual transmissions because we didn't have the budget back then to just ship it off to a shop. Sergeant Mustang, hey Kiwi, hope you're doing well. I've been spending practically all my time underneath that 61 Chrysler I bought. Big list. Oh, there's always a big list of stuff to do. Yes. Beagle Bowl. You've been paying attention, mate. Licorice, peanut butter, bananas, ginger snap. No, ginger snaps are okay. Next, you're going to say you don't like beer. No, that'll be a cold day in hell. I like my beer. You've been paying attention. That's funny. Barracuda, my wife developed a liking for eating raw red onions. Not good. Mother of invention. That was the phrase I was looking for, Sergeant Mustang. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I really got to start getting caught up because I'm reading comments you guys made on something I said 10 minutes ago. Necessity can be a mother. Fokker. Yes. Were we talking about Fokker planes? Yeah, I thought we were. Laurel Flynn. Kin was a natural talent who had a good work ethic. He had the Miranda Hot Springs. Yes, I remember that. For a while, they were always spotlessly clean, and when he left, it was never the same. Oh, wow. Fly glorified chicken nuggets for dinner. Slumdog. Oh, well. Stray bullet necessity is the redhead stepchild of invention. Good Lord. Ham sandwich for Dave. PZ43. My family has had many different makes of cars. The worst is probably the four-door Vauxhall Victor my uncle owned in the 70s. Okay. Okay. I wouldn't have thought they were too bad. What was wrong with that? They'd have the 2.3 that I had a couple of Vauxhall Victors back in the day, and they had a 2.3 litre four-cylinder that was like a slant six, like leaned right over because it was tall. Same reason for the Valiant slant six that Vauxhall made a slant four. Best of my mother's 70 Ford Escort and my father's Opel Record 67 coupe. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be collectible now, wouldn't it? 67 Opel Record coupe. That'd be in demand. But I remember the Thames and Transit Mark I vans from my childhood. Good Lord. Transit vans, weren't they just a tin box on wheels? They were the most, at the same time here in the States, they were making all sorts of luxury vans, at the factory. And Ford Transit was just a hollow tin box with a little gutless V4 in them. V4. Anyway, Barracuda, the American Al Turner, while at Ford Australia, wanted them to have a 429 version of the XW. Yeah, that would have been just a little too gas hungry for the Australian market. They might have been able to sell some, like GT, like hot rod, factory hot rod versions would have probably sold some. That's a lot of motor to squeeze under a Falcon hood, though. That would have been a little bit of engineering, which is probably what stopped it. Paul Funk, I think the 303 Cleveland had the smaller 2V intake ports. That was one of the problems with the Cleveland heads, is they went too big on the ports. Like even the 351 2V heads make more horsepower than the 4V, unless you're going like absolute, revving the bejesus out of it, which takes a lot of modifications to make them rev that hard. Christopher C, does the Cleveland split at 500 horsepower like the 302? I don't believe so. No, it's a stronger block. It's a bigger, heavier block too. Barracuda, I don't know how to say that. Souvlaki. As I recall, is chopped lamb with vegetables, herbs, and sauce in a wrap. Okay, sounds great. American Cleveland intake was dry, no coolant passages, while the Boss 302 in Windsor has coolant passage. Yeah, and there was something to do with that when they put the Cleveland intake and heads onto the Windsor block. There was some issue with the coolant passages that had to be blocked off or bypassed or rerouted or something. I don't know. But yeah, we were on the same page there. Dave, best car for money I owned was the $600 73 LTD with a 400 cube in it, more comfortable than the lazy boy in my living room who Perry the Speedo. Yeah, whole lot of car, weren't they? They were a lot of car. Stray Bullet, did your friend have the 4-cylinder Porsche 912 Kiwi? No, this was a late model one. This was like 18 months old. So it's got the big, the flat 6 in it. Barracuda, I'd like to have the Porsche 917. They cost a few $1 million. Oh, wow. Good grief, really? Wow. PZ43, my dream car is a Toyota Celica 72. Yeah, they're gorgeous car. Or Pontiac GDO 66. I was just talking with my engine shop today, and they've got an engine almost ready for a 64 GTO that will be coming back to the shop as soon as we get the engine. So watch out for that one. It's quite a nice 64 GTO, first of them. Jeff Hutchins, I also have a high nickel content. It's dollars I'm short on. Very funny. I like that. That's good. Volfly, perhaps we should think of some luxury features for large March. Maybe buy some glow-in-the-dark paint for a few select components. Then put a blue or UV LED dome light in it. Oh, my God. And a disco ball. Why not? Hey, there's a room in there. Mate, she's got power steering and power windows and power locks. She's got some luxury stuff, but not glow-in-the-dark stuff, no. Marsh looks fine without makeup. Well, that's more than a lot of women can say, isn't it? PZ43 or Mark II Ford Capri. I like the Mark I Capri. I do like the Mark I Capri. When I was like 12 or 13, one of my teachers bought one, a brand new one. So that must have been early 70s. Like 72 or 3 or something. I think they were a brand new model, and they were like like they were very sporty, Todd Denia, if you want a stronger engine block, get a marine engine such as a Mercury inboard. Yeah, some of those were special blocks, weren't they? Jeff Hutchins, 71 Cuda is my dream car, most badass looking car ever. Then the 68 or 9 Charger. See, I like the sort of 68-ish Plymouth GTX. I really like that body style. Yeah. I mean, not bad choices. 71 Cuda or 68 or 9 Charger. That's a very nice car. Driveway of misfits. What about leopard skin car seats, curved feelers, and blue? Oh, I'm not getting LED underlighting. I hate that.
All those LEDs behind the wheels. Yeah, terrible. Todd and I had a Porsche 94 Sebring. Handled decent, but was underpowered. Yeah, they were. Dave, worst car was a Plymouth Breeze. I don't even know what that is, mate. I have not heard of a Plymouth Breeze. I'm guessing it was a little four-banger POS. Stray bullet. Yeah, a bedazzled steering wheel cover. All right. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one, mate. Barracuda, a friend repowered a Vauxhall Victor with a 327 Chevy engine. There was a few Vauxhall Victors around with. They had a nice wide engine bay. They had a ton of room for a small block Chevy. There was quite a few of those around back in my day. Oh, here we go. I lost my place again. Good grief. Chandeliers on the front fenders like the Duke from New York, from Escape from New York. Shit. Good grief. Todd and I are under the weather, so calling it a night. Good night, everyone. Good night, mate. Thanks for joining us. Hope you feel better. Stray bullet, a 4.6 4V Cobra engine will run circles around an LS. Clever little engine. Yeah, they are. I mean, predecessor to the to the Coyote, but reliability and longevity. They won't run circles around an LS on that front, which was more what I meant. That was more of a question of the best engine, not necessarily the most powerful. That was a trick engine though. That 4.6 Cobra. Best Ford V8 engines today are in the F250 or 350. That's that. What are they? Godzilla engine. Is that what you're referring to? I'm guessing. Volfly had a car that came in painted up in McDonald's color scheme. I told the guy to get 3 pickle green windows put in it. Had a blackened exterior with yellow top, red interior. With a yellow vinyl. Ugh. One of one, thankfully. Yeah. They did some weird coloured interiors, didn't they? Granddad's junk. Some have asked me to video from start to finish. Mate, yeah. Turn the camera on, let it roll, Not everyone's going to watch it, but, if people are asking you, give the viewers what they want. Volfly named the customer Pickle Rick. Well, that could be taken a few unfortunate ways, couldn't it? Beagle Bob. Of course I pay attention. There's going to be a test, right? Well, yes, that's funny, though. That's funny. No test, but, yeah, you would win. You would get 100%, I suspect. Oh, Granite's junk. Tunnel RAM for a 383. How much and are they available? That's a good question. I'm sure they'd be available. They'd probably buy them new still for a 383. Jeff Hutchins. Yeah, 7.3 Godzilla is the best current V8. Even it has had cam problems. Yes, I've heard a little bit about the cam problems in those. Someone told me it was like at about 30-something thousand miles they seem to lose the cam. Can't beat a Stray bullet. Can't beat a Coyote engine. They're a good engine. They're a good engine. The only really drawback, as I said, is the size on two fronts. The physical size of it, the width of it. It's just a big engine, which is fine in the Mustang it comes in. Like it fits perfectly, but they've designed it around that engine. But as a hot rodders engine, it's pretty big. The LS is much more compact. And and it's only 5 litres. Okay, they make a 5.2. Woohoo. They don't make a 6.2. I think they should have, given us some options for, a 6 litre Coyote. Would have just made sense. So they could have put that in some of their trucks, but I guess they went the other way and went 7.3, for a torque monster, because that's not a twin overhead cam. The Godzilla is, and twin overhead cam is, like a 4V is a great cylinder head, but it does lack a little bit of mid-range torque. The 4-valve engines love to rev. And that's part of the reason the Coyote really loves being supercharged, because that gives it back a whole bunch of mid-range torque. So yeah, they like, the Coyotes love a bit of wind up their skirt. They really do, be it turbo or supercharged. But that just that forced induction really completes the Coyote. It makes it a very good. When you look at the horsepower curves and stuff like that, you force induce and give them force induction, and they're pretty awesome. Big horsepower. Dave, give me a stick. Yep. Christopher C, I like a big block Chevy. Yeah. Just a bit of a dinosaur today, though, isn't it? Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Yeah, great engine in its day. But the days kind of passed it by a little bit. It's like the small block Chevy. That's arguably one of the best engines ever made. It was better than a big block Chevy, hands down. But yeah, not much demand for a small block Chevy anymore. Only in correct type restorations where people want a small block Chevy because of the car. But yeah, everyone's chucking out their small block Chevys and going LS, which yeah. PZ43, do you go look for original spare parts at flea markets for parts for the cars you build? In Britain and here in Finland, there is always a farmer opening his barn doors to look. I don't personally, and it's just a time thing. I don't. I would enjoy doing that kind of thing, but I'm always battling time. I've always, I don't get to many car shows or swap meets because, time is against me, and you've got to pick through a lot of junk. It seems to me, I've been to a few flea markets here, and there's a lot of junk for sale, and there's a few little bits of gold in there, but a lot of it's picked pretty thin from what I've seen. So you kind of spend a whole day looking around, and you can walk away with nothing. And when you're short on time like I am, that's not always the best use of your time, Sergeant Mustang, this Chrysler seems to have sat partially buried or something in Canada for ages. The rocker panels and subframe rails have about 1/2 inch or more and dirt clod stuff in them. How do you clean that? Power washer, water blaster, power washer. Just find yourself a hole and just poke it in there, pull the trigger and let it run. It'll eventually rinse out. But yeah, that's what I'd do. PZ43, for spare parts for old cars, they are popular events. Yeah, when we get over to Europe, I would certainly want to go and have a look at some of those events. But I've been to a couple here and walked around, and it's like, yeah, maybe I'm not there early enough. I'm usually end up there on a Sunday afternoon. And these events tend to start on a Friday, and I think if you're really seriously looking for parts, you need to be there on the Friday, when the gates open. And I think that's the time I get there. It seems to be picked over, But I certainly don't have time on Fridays. That's a work day, for me. So I kind of haven't done well at the swap meets, they call them. Granddad's junk. Didn't one of the executives of Aussie Ford put a 428 Cobra Jet into an XW Barracuda, either a 428 or 429? Did they actually put one together? Yeah, I would say that's very possible, but I don't know. PZ43, do you collect old tools or machines for your workshop? A little. I've got a little bit of kind of paraphernalia like that, some old tools, a little bit of old, like old oil cans and stuff like that, still with the oil in them, that will never get open. They're just old, 60s oil cans and stuff like that. I've got bits and pieces like that. But I do enjoy stuff like that. Dave, Sergeant Mustang, just keep picking at it. They say it builds character. Yes. Sergeant Mustang, I'm sort of thinking that's how I'll have to go. I'm thinking I'm going to whip up some backyard ballistics, cheap Evaporust clone fluid, and flood the frame with it after plugging it up. Yeah, that's not a bad. Yeah, I guess you could do that. Eastwood have got some pretty clever stuff with little, like long wands and stuff like that you can pressurize some rust converter type products in there. The thing with Evaporust is like it'll get rid of the rust, but it leaves everything very naked, very bare. So you definitely have to get back in there with some rust preventative. But that's where, like, Eastwood have got some pretty good stuff. You have a look on, check out their website. They've got some good rust converters that can be sprayed in. Jeff Hutchins, I've seen that Ford V4 in some weird vehicles in the US and Canada. Huh. Didn't know they ever got out here. That's interesting. Ford V4. Didn't know they did that. Out here anyway is what I mean. Barracuda, I think there's been a misunderstanding. There are no Porsches in my ownership. Okay. Yeah, it didn't seem like a Porsche. You'd be a Porsche guy. Yeah, lost my place again. There we go. Stray Bullet, didn't Saab use the Ford V4 engine? Saab had a V4. I'm trying to think. I was gonna say I don't think it was the Ford V4, but I guess it might have been. Yeah, certainly not up on Saabs, but I thought it was a Saab engine. And when I think about it, I'm not really sure why I thought it was a Saab engine. I may have just been assuming. So yeah, don't know. I would be a little surprised, but I'm often surprised, so that's all right. Jeff Hutchins, most reliable car I had was 75 Ford Maverick, 250 straight 6 and C4. Makes sense, mate. That's a bulletproof engine. And the C4 will go forever behind it because it didn't make a lot of power and it wasn't a big, heavy car. So, yeah, that would I can easily see that being the most reliable. Sergeant Mustang, my plan was to de-rust it and then follow up with a deep clean with a shitload of baking soda to neutralise whatever's left. Then an LPS3 corrosion protectant. Yeah, you got it worked out, mate. PZ43. In Finland, there is a great demand for special tools that have been used by branded repair shops such as Mercedes, Benz, VW or BMW. Okay. Huh. So those factory, I call them factory tools. So yeah, made by the manufacturers for their own peculiarities of their own vehicles. Sergeant Mustang, but interested if Kiwi or anyone else has any other recommendations. I could do this. My friend's house, I don't have sandblasting equipment. Yeah, as I said, my recommendation would be go and have a good look at Eastwood's stuff. They've got aerosol cans, they've got a paint on, spray on. They've got they've got it pretty well covered. So I would have a look at that and see what you think. Dave, Saab used the V4 in place of the 3-cylinder 2-stroke. Those 2-stroke Saabs were actually quite popular in rallying back in the 60s. They actually went quite well. Being a 2-stroke, they actually had a little bit, for where they were and the time it was, they went quite well. Granddad's junk got a 52 DeSoto 6-volt and it was super reliable. This is the thing, these older cars and the simpler engines that didn't make a lot of horsepower typically went a long time. You couldn't break them. They kind of didn't have enough. Like the old 200 Ford 6-cylinder engine, they were almost indestructible. People would blow up 289s, like not regularly, but like the boys would get out and get after them and go drag racing in a 289 or something like that, and throw a rod and drop valves and stuff like that. But the old 6s, people just use them from going from A to B, so they didn't really get railed on that hard. So they just didn't make that much power. There wasn't a lot of point in revving the shit out of them because they just didn't go anywhere. So yeah, these simpler, a little bit lower power engines went forever. Sergeant Mustang, the benefit of the Evaporust clone is it can circulate certain panels like the rocker panels with it to de-rust the interior rather than just blasting the exterior. It's not a bad idea, but yeah, I mean, somebody said it already, but yeah, just watch that acidic side of things. But you're onto that already with getting the soda and stuff in there. So yeah, but yeah, I do wonder about some of the rust converters that you can spray inside the rockers and stuff like that, and then it's just a single operation, as long as it's clean. Otherwise, you're rust protecting dirt and sand. But yeah, if you can get it seriously clean and dry, then yeah, some of those rust converters that are available would do a pretty good job, kind of in a one-step process. Might be worth thinking about. Andy Nickel, love my 04 Sebring convertible, but I'd like some better shocks and a little more power would be nice. Mate, a little more power would always be nice, doesn't matter what it is. Stray Bullet, the 4.6 Terminator engines are all forged rotating assembly. Yes, you're correct. So yeah, okay, I probably should have been a little more specific. What I was meaning more in the valve train, the miles of cam chain and tensioners and stuff like that tended to be problematic, and not many engine rebuilders will even touch, like Blueprint engines and places like that, the bigger mass production monster engines and places like that don't do the 4.6s because they would just had too many warranty issues with them. That they couldn't build them and warranty them. They just had too many warranty issues with them. And finding someone to mess with a 4.6 Terminator is, a lot of engine rebuilders just don't want the aggravation. Here, anyway. And when I say here, I mean around me, kind of this Tennessee area. And that could be different. One thing I've learned about the States is you've got to be careful, like talking in terms of, nowhere in the US can you get this done, or nowhere in the US, like, because the US is very big. So yeah, especially when you don't live in all of it. It's not like in New Zealand where like you can make some sweeping statements about New Zealand because it's not very big. But yeah, you got to be a little bit careful in the stateside because it's like 50 different countries, really. Yeah. So Ford in England made the super van a promotional vehicles. It was a transit van with a GT40 small block engine and transaxle. That was super fast. That thing. It was. There's videos about that on YouTube. That was crazy. That thing. It was a great promotional vehicle. Firefly. Ever seen the Ketchup and Mustang Vipers? No. What is that? Dave, Sergeant Mustang sounds like a plan. Don't second guess yourself. Just do it. Yeah, well, whatever you do is going to make it better. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. Absolutely. Stray bullet. The Coyote doesn't need all of the extra cubic inches. I'm a fan of cubic inches, so what can I tell you? It's the Coyote's an excellent engine. I just think it would have benefited by another litre, if they had the option of a 6 litre, 6.2 litre. For my money, that would have been a great platform to, for Shelby to do the Shelby Mustang, but get a supercharged 6.2. It's got to make more power than a supercharged 5.2, right? Yeah. So I'm certainly not ragging on the Coyote. I think it's a fabulous motor. Just I'm not. I guess, maybe they had that Godzilla in the background or on the back burners kind of thing under development, and they've deemed that the Coyote is their 5 litre screamer. Mustang F-150 size engine. And they decided to make a simpler, big engine. And there's certainly merit to that. Like the pushrod 2-valve head makes more torque. So if you're going to make a truck gas engine, that 7.3 Godzilla is the absolutely correct formula. So maybe that was their reasoning. They just wanted different horses for courses, as they say. They wanted big cubes for their big vehicles, and they wanted a high performance screamer for their high performance Mustang. So makes perfect sense, really. Beagle Bob, they had a 2V and maybe a 3V 6.2 in the first Raptor and Super Duties. They did? 6.2. So what engine was that based on then? Was that the modular engine? I've not heard of the 6.2. PZ43, at least in old Vibers and Saabs, as well as Fiat and Alfa Romeo, a special spindle tool or spatula has been used to remove door panels and install windshields. Okay. Spindle. Okay. Yeah. We use similar tools for that, for doing windshields here. Spatula. I can see it being called a special spindle tool or spatula. Yeah, I can see it being called that. But yeah, there's a lot of factory tools that you need, particularly when you start getting into the engine assembly or disassembly. There's a lot of special tools as the engines get more complicated. Beagle Bob, the Coyotes and the trucks impress me. There you go. Stray Bullet, what small block engine are the NASCAR Chevy guys running now? I don't know. I don't really follow NASCAR much anymore. I believe it's its own I don't think it's an LS. I think it's its own NASCAR engine that they run. I think. Don't quote me on that. But it's a fairly unique engine, I think, to NASCAR. Jeff Hutchins, yeah, the Godzilla seems to either get cam problems at 30,000. Yeah, that's the number I've heard. Or never. It's weird. Yeah, hopefully they'll get on top of that. But yeah, if I was building an interesting Ford, I'd want the Godzilla engine. I'd go with the Godzilla over the Coyote just to be, and only because it's different and it's big cube, 7.3 liters. Like that's a pretty big engine. What is that? 427 or something? 430 odd. I know a 460 is 7.5 liter. So what's a 7.3? How many cubes is a 7.3? But yeah, I'd be a little nervous if I was buying something with 30,000 miles and a Godzilla engine in it. I'd be like, ooh. Unless it's still under warranty, it doesn't matter. But yeah, all the manufacturers are having a few little issues with stuff. You know, Chevy's having issues with their engines. Toyota's having issues with their engines. Yeah. Granddad's junk. Surely the 4-bolt main 350 must be hard to beat even modern LS engine. I guess it depends on what your like in what regard. The 4-bolt main 350 exceptional engine really was, and as you say, hard to beat. But the modern LS, the simple LS with no DOD or whatever the acronym you use for that multi-displacement, where they're dropping cylinders off. Any of the LSs that had that, they were just a better engine than the small block. The heads flowed better. They made more power. You can make a 4-bolt main 350 make great horsepower, but we're talking like stock for stock. The LS made more power, and that was all through the heads. Short blocks don't really make horsepower. It's cylinder heads that give you the ability to make horsepower. Firefly, no boxing for me tonight. Dave, beer has electrolytes. Barracuda, I have no problem with an old, small or big block Chevy engine. I had a 400 small block. It was very torquey, very impressive. Yeah, absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. Yeah. It's just they're not small blocks are just, and it's not. I'm not sharing my opinion. I'm not saying this is my opinion, but the small block Chev's day has just been and gone. And same with the big blocks. Really, big blocks have a little bit more of a following. People always go, ooh, with the big block. But small block Chevys, so many people now are like, oh, you should have put an LS in it. So the masses have adopted the LS, as the new small SBC. I don't make that rule. It just is what it is, Jeff Hutchins, big block Chevys seem very polarizing. People either love them or hate them. A lot of old school. Yeah, just shut up the page. God damn it. I really got to work at getting.
Here we go. A lot of old school Mopar guys respect them. I'm weird because I'm okay with them, but I take a 440 every time. Yeah, it's that old, there's no substitute, no replacement for displacement, no substitute for cubic inches. Big engine is a big engine is a big engine. And that's why that Godzilla, I thought it would have taken off a little more than it has. I thought we'd be seeing a lot more Godzilla engines and things. Especially with the way trucks, how popular trucks are, F100s, C10s. Obviously, you wouldn't put the Godzilla in a C10, but I see a lot of Coyotes going into the F100s, F150, stuff like that. And like if I had to pick a motor to go in my F100, it would definitely be the Godzilla because it's a big, torquey truck engine. And the F100 is a truck. But yeah, that's just me. PZ43, good night, Kiwi and everyone else. It's almost morning here. Oh, wow, really? Well, thanks for hanging with us, man. It was great to have you along. It's cool. I'll have to reach out whenever I book my tickets for Finland. And I will be. I definitely will be. It's not just talk. Driveway of Misfits. The Saab V4 was a Ford design. Taurus V4. There you go. Learn something every day. Driveway of Misfits. Take care. Oh, PZ43. Take care. Much respect for our friends in Finland. Yeah. Oh, Volvo B2066. Yeah, it'd be a cool car too. I like the P1800s, the Volvo P1800s. I think they're a cool looking little sports car. Barracuda Kiwi, have you heard of the recommended modification to Hemi 6 engines to stop the cam walking? A nut welded to a timing cover with a bolt to put pressure on the cam. I have not. I have not. I'm not the right guy to ask about Hemi 6s, mate. Not an engine I've really messed with that much, or at all, really. So it's kind of creating a thrust. So why do they walk? Do they not have a retaining plate? Like what's the factory way of stopping them walking, and why is it not enough? I don't know. It sounds a little, and this is coming from a place of zero knowledge, it sounds a little agricultural to weld a nut to the timing cover with a bolt, to just dial it in. Sounds a little agricultural. I can't help but wonder if a proper thrust bearing in the right place might be a better way of doing it, but maybe there's just not a way of doing it. I don't know. But sometimes, getting to the root cause of why something like that is doing something like that is a better way of fixing it than putting a Band-Aid on it. That sounds a little Band-Aid-ish to me. A cam shouldn't be trying to walk out of the block. So the question that, for me, and it probably has been answered, but it's an answer I would need, is why is the camshaft walking out of the block? And once you get an answer to that question, then I think you can try and cure the cause rather than fix the outcome. You know what I mean? Volfly. I know a 2-stroke V4 can be balanced, but I'm not so sure about the 4-stroke V4. Never toyed with one. No, mate, me neither. Sergeant Mustang, I'll check out Eastwood. Thanks for the recommendation. Yep. You're doing the right thing, whichever road you go down. You're doing the right thing, so it's all good. The holes. Hey, man. Good to have you here. We're getting low on time now, but hey, technical question. That's always a good thing. What do you think about clocking piston rings in a setting where you're using a gapless ring? There's a brand called Total Seal. Do you think clocking those is overkill? No, I don't see why you wouldn't for the effort required. I would. That would just be kind of standard practice, really, to clock them and not stack them all up the gaps above each other. Even it just seems like I just do that out of habit, I think. And if it doesn't help, no harm, no foul. If it does help, awesome. So it's kind of a win-win. Like just clock them and be done with it. Yeah. It's not like it's going to cost you an extra $10 a piston to clock them. It's just like just move it. Why not? Volfly, PZ43, you are experiencing phase 5, the sun. Jeff Hutchins, clocking rings is a waste of time. Ring rotate on pistons while the engine runs. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's true. There's some truth to that. Dave, I clock rings because I don't like them lined up for braking, especially in the first few minutes. Yeah, I mean, the rings do move in the pistons, but I just, I mean, you're going to get that kind of argument that they move and so it doesn't matter. But then there's the break-in argument, and I've had a couple of old engine builders do it that way. Always, stagger the ring gaps, and just doesn't seem like something worth not doing. That's my take on it. That first few minutes, 20 minutes of braking is pretty important. So I'm kind of with Dave on that, I'll be honest. Stray bullet. I clock the ring solely because it makes me feel good. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I really do. That's me exactly. And if people say it's a waste of time, and if they're right, well, how much time have I wasted? Not much. Sergeant Mustang, I can't find much specifics on this anywhere. Old autos like the Torque Flight particular about what ATF they'll take. I've got the cast iron Torque Flight. Modern full synthetic ATF's okay. Not sure, to be honest. That's a question I'd probably ask, and find yourself an old automatic guy, an older guy, build a lot of auto. Fortunately, I've got one like 5 minutes from me, and he does my automatic transmissions. And when I pick him up, I just say, what transmission fluid do I put in it, and he'll tell me, and that's what I put in, and it works out. Full synthetic, I think if it's a rebuilt fresh transmission, I think a full synthetic would be fine. But quantify that with, I think I would definitely be asking a good seasoned old automatic guy and see what his take on it, because they've, over the years they've seen a lot of failures, and there's a lot of different transmission fluids and a lot of different opinions on what's best, and that's not a very good answer. I'm sorry, but I would find a good transmission guy and see. There's universal full synthetics as well now. That doesn't matter what transmission. This is one bottle of synthetic transmission fluid fits everything, and
sounds like a good idea. It just make me a little nervous, I'll be honest. Yeah, see, it's interesting. Transmissions can be pretty finicky. Like I was doing some work on my daughter's little Ford Fiesta, and I had to get some transmission oil for that. And Ford's very specific about using their Ford-made transmission fluid in the manual Fiesta, and it's very expensive, for what it is. For transmission oil, I think it was like $36 a quart, something like that, if I remember rightly. And I'm like, given what you pay for it, regular, and it was a form of ATF, like most manual transmissions now run, some type of ATF. And it's like, it only needed a quart. So it's like, it's 3 times the price of the regular stuff, but, it's an expensive transmission if it fails, and they were very specific about only using that. And I saw a couple of other YouTube videos where guys fixing them were going, make sure you only use that, so I just go, okay. And maybe I'm buying into some scare tactics. I don't know. But it's cheap insurance. That's how I look at it. Don't care too. There is no replacement for displacement. I'm with you, man. That's why I have a 9-litre V8 in my Mustang. 557 cubic inches. And it is fun as hell. Involve fly. Modern global synthetic ATF works in many older vehicles. Better for them, really. Yeah. I don't know. I just try and be a little bit, I don't like giving advice on limited knowledge, So, but is now, so Volfly is, if the transmission's already had regular ATF in it, is it all right to like drain it and put synthetic in, or does that work like on they say, the worst thing you can do to an engine that's run on mineral oil for a long time is to drain it out and put synthetic in. So is that a thing with automatics as well? See, I don't know. Jeff Hutchins, I clocked them too, but it's a waste of time. On average, they rotate at 4,000 RPM, 4 revs per minute per 1,000 engine rotations. Even for braking, it's unnecessary. I still do it though too. Old habits die hard, but well, you can't. It just takes a few more minutes, and it doesn't cost anything. So why not? What the hell? Stray Bullet, the 6'2" is a member of the Boss family. Okay, huh? Jeff Hutchins, I've always run Type F, which is really a Ford automatic transmission fluid, isn't it? And a 727. Yeah. I just kind of bow to experience and say this guy, he's older than me and he's been doing automatic transmissions forever. And so I just take his recommendation. I don't overthink it, and just, he says use Type F. I go and get a case of Type F and I put that in it. So, yeah, but that's how I do it. Well, guys, it's 9 o'clock. It's 9:04 actually. The hulls. Ford have now brought out the Megazilla over the Godzilla. It's got a forged internals, and everything is ready to go for a blower plus more horsepower out of the box. Sounds pretty good. Jeff Hutchins, 7.3 is 444, 445 cubic inches. That's a big engine. That's a big production engine. I know it's not the biggest. Cadillac made a 500, blah, blah, blah. Ford made a Ford 60 as well. But yeah, it's a big engine, especially this day and age. It's a big engine, but great for a truck, for camper vans, whatever. Great. Tim Miller put a 302.30 over Edelbrock top end and tell the wife to sit down, buckle up, and hang on. I agree. Yes, that sounds like a good plan, but politely. Oh, then Dave goes tell the wife to sit down and shut up. Oof. Oh, dear. All right, guys. Well, I probably missed a few of your questions, so I'm sorry about that. Driveway of Misfits, Castrol making Universal. Yep, there's a few people make Universal ADS. I tend to use that for top-ups because you never quite know what's already in a transmission. So I use that Universal for topping off a transmission, but it needs a quart or two. Volflow, swapping to synthetic global ATF has posed no issues for me and my customers with older vehicles. Well, there you go. That's the piece of advice you should be listening to, because you've got repeated experiences with it, and it's worked. And yeah. So there you go. Andy Nickel, wake up! It's time for your sleeping pill. All right. Okay, guys. Well, another good night. I had fun. It's always interesting. I think you guys are kind of running this show more than I am, really. You seem to answer each other's questions at least as much as I do. So, yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, guys, have a good week. Work on your cars. Have some fun. Get out to a car show or something at the weekend. The weather's cooling down a little bit, so it's not going to kill you. So yeah, go and have some good times, have some fun, and come back next Tuesday with some stories to tell. All right, guys, take it easy, and I will see you next week. See you then. Bye-bye.